So this was a
bicycle. Bicycle.
Morning Prasad. So reading from warm water is very good. Reading from Transcendental Diary, Travels with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada by Hari Shori Prabhu. This is actually glorious that we do this. Reading this book, because it's so valuable. When I was Brahmacharya, I traveled one suitcase with clothes and one suitcase with smaller suitcase with books. And I always had Chaitanya Charitamrita, this one volume. I had what else? Bhagavad Gita, and I had 3 books of Hari Shori Prabhu. And I had this book, 2 books, these green books. What is it? Nectar of, what is the name of this? These green books of Prabhupada's letters. You know this book? Prabhupada Shishamrita. This was my, this books, this and Prabhupada Shishamrita was my thing.
I also read it every day.
Amazing. This is amazing. These books are amazing to me.
Every day, I read.
Because there you can see who Prabhupada was and what Prabhupada wanted us to do and what Prabhupada, to learn Prabhupada. You know. Yes. What was he? Because you can read Prabhupada's books, but you can interpret from the Shastra. But this is a Prabhupada himself.
His activities.
Yes. How did he speak? To me, mostly, I don't know if you're translating or. Sorry. Okay, I will speak slow. Okay, no problem. He probably understands us. We understand it. So I will speak not so far. Shinis. I will speak a little slower. And when one reads these books, then you can understand Prabhupada. You can understand who Prabhupada was. And to me, the most important was how Prabhupada reacted in certain situations. Because then you can see really, when you react, you can see what kind of personality Prabhupada was. How Prabhupada was very merciful, sometimes very compassionate. Oh yeah, you can hear it like this. Yes. So.
Just sit there.
It's okay, let's just.
Sit there.
You know, I will also take the Prabhupada's memories with a dose of salt, as they say. You know, it's a little bit of a doubt. Because sometimes devotees remember how was it 30 years ago, and they, from their own standpoint right now, they say Prabhupada was like this. But it may be just their own state.
I cannot sit here. I'm confused. Really.
Okay, just sit.
Sorry.
Just sit there. It's okay. Everybody has to find their own place in Krishna consciousness. Chaturvarnya maya strishta. The Prabhupada reacted in certain ways, you know. And people after 30 years now, you know, they said Prabhupada was like this, like that. But you see, actually, these are the actual diary. He was writing it there and then. Now we can see, oh, Prabhupada was very whatever, but this is from our own perspective right now. So therefore I like to read this very much. Like a book called Samal Krishna Goswami, Servant of the Servant, and the book by Satsarup Maharaj called ISKCON in the 70s. Because it's also written up like a diary.
Это тоже написано.
He was writing notes, what Prabhupada says, what do they think, what do they do.
Точно записано, что Прабхупада делал, что он думал, что он говорил.
It's important
Это важно.
to know Prabhupada.
Знать Прабхупаду.
So, morning prasadam for the devotees were date juice and puffed rice. Imagine.
Смотри, что это вы сами читаете?
The breakfast in Iskon Gauradesh, date juice and puffed rice. We'll all die. Huh?
Why is not tasty?
No, just not so opulent. You know, we have so opulent prasadam here. For us to eat puffed rice and date juice. Introduction to breakfast. So morning prasadam for the devotees with date juice and puffed rice. The main meal being served at 11 a.m. For his breakfast, Prabhupada took only small amount of fruit and bada. Jayapatak Maharaj brought him the season's first jug of date rasa, the clear, sweet sap from the date palm. He drank a small amount from his cup, appearing to enjoy it. Prabhupada called me at 9:30 a.m. to begin his massage. He wanted to have it early because the sun was shining on the veranda outside his room. Whenever possible, and if not too hot, he enjoys having his massage while exposed to the health-giving rays of the sun. It was finished by 11 a.m., so 1.5 hours massage. And after bathing, he sat on his asan in his room. With his eyes closed, he remained in an upright position for about 45 minutes. Occasionally his lips moved as he silently chanted or said something. He appeared completely absorbed. I wondered perhaps in Goloka Vrindavan. Mayapur is definitely not the material world. There's a transcendental aspect, tangible even to a neophyte like me. After months of arduous travel, meaning difficult travel, on behalf of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada has come here to recuperate and relax. Always completely immersed in thoughts of Krishna, who knows what he actually sees and hears. There's actually this song by Manglananda about Prabhupada. He's a kind and gentle soul. And then he says, when will I taste the love when he is feeling inside? So I thought it was an interesting idea that we want to taste, he or the author of the song want to taste what Prabhupada experiences. Which is, we don't do this, we don't want to say, okay, I want to taste what, Rupa Goswami has experienced. This is not our point. But another thing is when he says this, also Harisori Prabhu says here, I wonder what is Prabhupada thinking of, it's a curiosity. We actually, devotees, we are concerned to be followers, not imitators, as it is said in Nectar of Instructions. We are following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So we are following the footsteps of Prabhupada. And what Prabhupada taught, this is his to relish. Not that we now thinking, what did Prabhupada think? How did Prabhupada think? Of course, this is not a bad way to. But just we as devotees, we should have this attitude. I am the follower of Prabhupada, a follower of the previous acharyas. I don't want to now see what is Rupa Goswami, how is Rupa Goswami feeling. This is not our mood of our sampradaya. Also, when they describe, there's sometimes you can say controversy. What was Prabhupada's svarup in the spiritual world? So some people said he was a cowherd boy because he installed Krishna Balaram, and he wrote the poem, when will I play with Krishna in the fields of Vrindavan? So play means the cowherd boys are playing with Krishna, and fields means going to herd the cows, so assuming that he was a cowherd boy. Some people think he is Radha Bhava, in Radha Bhava. One devotee I was just heard now in Vrindavan, he gave this super scholar, gave lecture giving quote from a book called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, where Srila Prabhupada says how sometimes Krishna teases Radharani and he pushes us down and then he uses this to kiss her. So this devotee says, this is the proof. He didn't categorically point, but he says, this could be the proof that Prabhupada was in Madhurya Rasa. Because this particular pastime is not described in any of the Shastras of the Goswamis. So meaning the Prabhupada witnessed this. Anyway, so there's this idea or that idea. But our point is actually not to bother what is Prabhupada's spiritual form. Our thing is we should follow in the Prabhupada's footsteps. Because it's also considered rude, inappropriate, that we bother. What is his, what is your rasa? Rasa is a very personal thing. Actually, even guru is a very personal thing. Like when we go to India or something, everybody's like, who is your Guru Maharaj? Like this is which team you are supporting? FC Köln or BVB, or what is your team? This is actually a very personal thing. You always say Guru Maharaj. In the Shastras, shastrically it is said that, or ethically you can say, it is said that you never utter the name of your wife. Or your wife in public. Oh, this is my wife, Devi Dasi, whatever. Ajamila Devi Dasi. You actually said my wife or my husband, because it's a personal thing. So Prabhupada's relationship to Krishna, or our own personal relationship to Krishna, is our own thing. It's a personal thing. And we share this only with the trustworthy devotees. Like people, it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord Chaitanya shared his realizations with Ramananda Rai and Sarup Damodar. And that's it. Two. He didn't walk around now in front of the Jagannath temple and say, my rasa. It's a very personal thing. His rasa is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita only for the preaching purposes. And even that, it is not all, just a tiny fragment. So that we can read and we can see, wow, this is actually the highest achievement. Otherwise, there's no need to describe this. Like devotees like Lochan Das Goswami. He's a samadhi in Vrindavan. Sorry, Lokanath Goswami. He told Krishna's carriage, please do not put my name in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's no need. And only once or twice Krishna's carriage just mentioned Lokanath was there. Because he did not want to be there. Because, it was not needed for the sake of preaching. The stories like Raghunath Das Goswami's history, or Rupa Goswami history, or Sanatana Goswami history are needed for preaching. But for the other devotees, we don't know much. Some devotees we don't even know. Very little about them. There's some amazing devotees. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. So these things should be, how do you say, understood. That there's some things which are to display in public, which are some things which are not to be displayed in public. So therefore we should, as devotees, be always aware, even if you have some realization, we don't walk around and you say, I realized. As Prabhupada says in one quote, that we should never think, oh, I have found Krishna. We can always think, where is Krishna? How can I find Krishna? Because He Radhe Vrajadevike, He Nanda Suno Shukutaha, Shri Govardhana Pada Patale, Kalindi, and so on and so forth. So he was always wondering, where is Krishna? The Goswamis, where is Krishna? Is he on the bank of Yamuna? Is he in Govardhan? Where is Krishna? Let's find Krishna. So this is our mood. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mr. Razak, you want to say something?
You mentioned Samadhi.
Yeah.
His Samadhi.
Lokanath.
No,
Alochadas.
yeah. Lokanath was.
Lochan, yes. He wrote Chaitanya Mangala, Lochan. Yes.
His this place, not big distance from Mayapur. This place he wrote Chaitanya Mangala. Some temple, very peaceful place. Not many people visit this place. There is Gauradesh temple, and we visit this place. And nearby this temple, small samadhi, some Vaishnavas who was served to these deities. And I met one local Vaishnava. He didn't understand me, didn't speak English, but we had little conversation, like subtle things. I understood he was very happy, very enthusiastic. He said, I understood. Do you see this samadhi? Because the future I also will be here. And for general people, this strange. I will die very soon. But he was so ecstatic. I go to spiritual world and my samadhi also will be here. This was very amazing.
Samadhi Krishna. Noch was? Möchte was noch sagen? Fragen? Nein. So dann, wir gehen weiter. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Verse 11. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha. Iti Devasa Aprishta. Iti Devasa Aprishta. Prajasamyamano Yamaha. Prajasamyamano Yamaha. Prita svadutan pratyaha. Prita svadutan pratyaha. Smaran padam bhujam hare. Smaran padam bhujam hare. Shri Badaraya Nirvacha. Iti devasa aprishta. Praja samyamanoma yamaha. Prita svadutam pratyaha. Smaran padam bhujam hare.
Shri Badaraya Nirvacha.
Shri Badaraya Nirvacha. Iti devasa aprishta. Praja samyamano namaha. Prita svadutam pratyaha.
Smaran padam bhujam hare.
Smaran padam bhujam hare. Noch ein Versuch? Nee.
Shri Badaraya Nirvacha.
Shri Badaraya Nirvacha.
Iti devasa aprishta.
Iti devasa aprishta. Raja samyamano yamaha.
Prita svadutam pratyaha.
Prita svadutam pratyaha.
Smaran padam bhujam hare.
Smaran padam bhujam hare.
Shri Badaraya Nirvacha. Iti devasa aprishta. Raja samyamano yamaha. Svadutam pratyaha. Smaran padam bhujam hare. Shri Badarayani Uvacha. Shukadeva Goswami said, Iti, thus, Devaha, the demigod, Saha, he, Aprishta, being questioned, Praja Samyamana Yamaha, Lord Yamaraj, who controls the living entities, Pritaha, being pleased, Svadutan, to his own servants, Pratyaha, replied, Smaran, remembering, Pada Ambujam, the lotus feet, Harehe, of Hari, the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, thus having been questioned, Lord Yamaraj, the supreme controller of the living entities, was very pleased with his order carriers because of hearing from them the holy name of Narayan. He remembered the lotus feet of the Lord and began to reply. Purport. Srila Yamaraj, the supreme controller of the living entities in terms of their pious and impious activities, was very pleased with his servants because they had chanted the holy name of Narayan in his dominion. Yamaraj has to deal with men who are all sinful and who can hardly understand Narayan. Consequently, when his order carriers uttered the name of Narayan, he was extremely pleased, for he is also a Vaishnava. Shri Badaraya Nirvacha iti devasa aprishta praja samyamano yamaha prita svadutam pratyaha smaran padam bhuja hare. Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, thus having been questioned, Lord Yamaraj, the supreme controller of the living entities, was very pleased with his order carriers because of hearing from them the holy name of Narayan. He remembered the lotus feet of the Lord and began to reply. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Hare Krishna. So this is a little bit, how do you say, a little break from this story, going to the internal life of Yamaraj, internal feelings, that he was very pleased. And why was he pleased? Because his servants uttered the name Narayana. The Shastras describe, there's this verse quoted by Rupa Goswami, Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna nivesha yed sarva vidi nisheda syur etayor eva kinkaram. This is the verse quoted by Rupa Goswami, explaining that somehow or other one should think of Krishna. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna nivesha. Somehow or other mind should be absorbed in Krishna. And sarva vidis is instructions or teachings. All the teachings of the Shastra are going to this one point. This is the essence of all the teachings of the Shastra. To think of Krishna. You know, that is the, we can say, of all the, what is the one sentence of all the Shastras? Think of Krishna always. So, Yamaraj, as a devotee, as Prabhupada says here, for he is also a Vaishnava, got this opportunity to think of Krishna. So he was very pleased. Sometimes, you know, people are saying something, Hare Krishna, or, you know, we are very pleased. We traveled this summer to Basel, Ratha Yatra Basel. Basel, Switzerland. So, and then we were in the train and we were sitting there with our beads, chanting. And then we saw a girl across the street. She had her neck beads. Huh? Just on the train, the other opposite seat. So then Nitya started talking to her, and actually they are devotees. Her mother also is a devotee. So we were so happy. Wow, there's a devotees in the train. And just when we were talking to this devotee, somebody came behind us, some Indian family said, Hare Krishna. They're actually from Bengal, and they're actually ISKCON devotees. Some congregational devotees. So we were like, suddenly 6-7 people, all Hare Krishnas in the train. So we were very happy about this. And why were we happy? Because in the train, full of meat eating, materialistic people, intoxication, we have the opportunity to meet the devotees. So we thought, wow, Krishna is Jagannath, Lord Jagannath is preparing us for the Ratha Yatra. So this is exactly the situation with Yamaraj. He is thinking, I'm here with all these materialists, I have to punish them. Okay, you are punished, you are rewarded, you are heavenly planets, okay, and they're all happy heavenly planets. You go to hell and they're all suffering. So he's all day long, this is a boring work. It's like a karmic job, he has a karmic job. You can say, this is his service. So finally, in the middle of this, somebody comes and says, hey, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Narayan. He's like, oh, very nice. So he was very happy with his servants to remind him of Narayan. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in one instance, Prabhupada describes, they were reading the article in the newspaper. At that time in Bengal, because Bhaktisiddhanta was preaching very heavily, and sometimes they put an article in the newspaper about the Hare Krishna movement, Gaudiya Mat. So Bhaktisiddhanta read one article, very favorable article, glorifying Gaudiya Mat. So Bhaktisiddhanta put the article. There was another article, very not nice article, about Gaudiya Mat. Bhaktisiddhanta was reading, and he said, this article is much better than the other article. I said, Maharaj, so this article is glorifying us, the other article is vilifying us. And he said, did you count how many times the first article wrote Hare Krishna? And did you read how many times they said Hare Krishna in the second article? The second article, they said Hare Krishna many, many more times. So therefore this article is better. So this is how the transcendental vision of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That actually it does not matter people are glorifying or not glorifying. If they say Hare Krishna, this is already transcendental. Because the holy name is not dependent on who says it and how it says it. Once, I would say Gauradesh Das Babaji was traveling in a raft across the river. At that time they had a piece of wood and then just push it, just to cross the river. No, it's wood together. How do you call this? Whatever, plot. So he was pushing this. So and the man who was pushing, the boatman, he was singing some song. Like for example, we sing sometimes, I don't know, Radha Krishna Pranamo, we wash our dishes, and we don't even think about this. So he was singing some local song about Radha and Krishna while not thinking about it, pushing the thing. So Gauradesh Das Babaji told him, you don't understand, you're breaking my heart. Because by uttering this song, this enters to my heart and I immediately remember Radha Krishna. He completely was in ecstasy. So I thought this is an interesting point, that even the devotee who is always absorbed in Krishna and his pastimes, whatever people say or whatever people do reminds him of Krishna. And it's a different things. For these people who are saying Krishna, they just said Krishna. But for this other person, it's like, as Bhakti Gauradesh Babaji, heartbreaking. There's many stories, similar stories to this. When Pundarik Vidyanidhi heard the verse, half a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, he gets complete in ecstasy, rolling, destroying the house more or less. And Gadadhar Pandit was wondering, I just said the verse, what's the big deal? But because he was so absorbed, he just opened, the storehouse of love of God, just broke it immediately, this half a verse. So devotees have these situations, sometimes it's called udipana, sometimes these things which reminds people of Krishna, which are not necessarily Krishna. This in this book by Bhakti Vikas Swami called Vamshidas Babaji, he describes how Vamshidas Babaji was always absorbed in Krishna Lila. When he would see train, at that time the train comes with foam and Bhakti and he would say, oh, this is Agasura is coming. Or sometimes they said he would walk by the train, by the railroad, and they have these poles with the wires, probably the telephone wires connect. And he would look at the wire and he said, does this wire lead to Govardhan? Such an insignificant thing which has nothing to do with Krishna. Pole with the wire on it, he remembered Govardhan. Because he was thinking, this probably leads to Govardhan. Where else would it go? Because his mind is leading to Govardhan. So in many other instances it's like this. The devotees remember Krishna. And sometimes devotees remember Krishna in a special way. Like here, Yamaraj, he's always Krishna conscious. To be such an important post as Yamaraj, it is described that Yamaraj is not different from a super soul. Imagine a person, he's in everybody's heart like a super soul. Because otherwise, how do you know all these people's sinful and pious activities? So he's such an exalted person, and he's still hearing Narayan. He has a special remembrance of Narayan. So devotees also sometimes have a special situation when we remember Krishna. For no reason, just comes and you just wow. You see, we see a peacock feather, or we see a cloud, and we sing, wow, Krishna. Or whatever the situation. I was traveling once with Prithu Prabhu, long time ago. We traveled we were going to Hong Kong. And in the airport we were sitting, waiting for the boarding. We were sitting there, and then we spoke something, then we became silent. And behind us there was two Indian men speaking. And one of them was speaking, and then he stopped. And he said, Prithu. And then he continued speaking. And Prithu said, did you hear this? I said, yeah, I heard it. This is Krishna telling him, I'm here with you. Wow. I'm here with you. So, and then we remembered Krishna. But it's not that before we're not remembering Krishna. I'm not saying we remember, but I'm saying sometimes Krishna gives situations that we specially remember Krishna. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a story, because it's Puranas, the whole histories, how Vidura met Uddhava. So he was, Uddhava is a devotee of Krishna, and also so much intimate relationship with Krishna. So Vidura asked him, how was, because Vidura went to, he was kicked out by Duryodhana, and he went to the holy places of pilgrimage for some years, or time, at least some time. And he was, when you travel to holy places of pilgrimage, there's no internet, people just, he was just absorbed in this, and he did not know what's the news in Hastinapur or Kurukshetra or anything. Dwaraka or whatever. So he asked Uddhava, what is, how is this person going? How is this person going? He mentioned all the personalities. And then at the end he said, how is Krishna? He was keeping for the end. And then when Uddhava heard this, he became, here, the verse says, for a moment he remained dead silent. Uddhava, just silent. And his body did not move. He became absorbed with the nectar of remembering the Lord's lotus feet. In devotional ecstasy. And he appeared to be going increasingly deeper into this ecstasy. So Uddhava, who is actually the most Krishna conscious devotee, even when he was a child, he would not play with kids or anything like this. He would only play with the puppets of Krishna. Always absorbing Krishna from childhood. Always Krishna. And then when he asked him about Krishna, he specially remembered Krishna. He went into ecstasy. It's an interesting point. So Prabhupada says here, when in the purport of this verse, when Vidura asked Uddhava about Krishna, it appears that Uddhava woke up from a slumber. He appeared to be regretting the lotus feet of the Lord. Yeah, that he was thinking, oh, I didn't, like as if he would not think about Krishna before. But this is not so, because he was always remembering Krishna. But this is a special remembering Krishna. So by remembering the lotus feet, he remembered all his transcendental love and service unto him. And he felt the same presence as he felt in front of Krishna. So this is a devotee sometimes, in some rare moments, or not so rare moment, depending on the devotee, suddenly remembers everything. What you have done for Krishna. Imagine you remember, oh, I did this, I did this. Not in a case like, not in a sense the devotee thinks like, oh, I've done so many things for Krishna. Okay, I think it's translation Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Not in a sense the devotee thinks, oh, I've done so much things for Krishna, but he remembers Krishna, remember these moments with Krishna. Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada says here, because Krishna is absolute, there is no difference between his remembrance and his personal presence. So meaning association with Krishna, association with devotees are actually eternal. If we have a relationship with we offer, basis to Prabhupada, offer or seeing the deities, these moments are staying eternally there. It's not like now this is now gone and now I have a different. No, this is there because we are associated with the Lord, and we remember these moments. We are again associating with the Lord. This is according to this verse. Therefore, Uddhava remained completely silent for a moment, but then he appeared to be going deeper into ecstasy. So this is interesting. What Srila Prabhupada, this particular verse, I thought, how devotees actually, at certain moments, they remember Krishna in a very, very special way. And the best, and the ultimate moment when we remember Krishna in a special way is at the time of death. When we die, we are sitting there, we have nothing else to think of, there's no dishes to be washed, or I have something to make some money, or whatever our story is. We lay there and just there's nothing. We are leaving this body, so we have to remember Krishna. So then is the time to remember Krishna, all we have done to Krishna. Krishna will remind us what we have done for him. We were recently reading one Mataji, I don't know where is she from, who died, clinically died. And while she was dead, she remembered all these things what she has not done for Krishna, but kind of like services she has done. Services, kirtans. And she was saying even the smallest kirtan with two people or whatever, this also is there, registered. So we should not underestimate thinking like this kirtan is smaller, it's not important, only the big kirtans, only the Ratha Yatra is important. Every kirtan is important. Every obeisance is important. Every thought of Krishna is important. All these little things, they comprise together Krishna consciousness. So it's not like we now offering obeisance, we dress ourselves. I mean, just imagine the so much, endeavor to wake up in the morning, to take shower, to take new clothes, dress, clean clothes, to come in front of the deities, to stand here, it's an endeavor. It's an endeavor at 4 o'clock in the morning. So Krishna appreciates the whole endeavor. Not only just, he's like, I did huge service. Krishna appreciates every endeavor, the smallest endeavor. And these endeavors will come at that moment of death. It will come to all of us, come back and say, well, okay, you did this. And it's a very nice thing. So we should not underestimate them. This is my point, yeah. Okay, what else is interesting that these situations, like for example this with Yamadutas meeting Vishnu Dutas, and as Prabhu was reading yesterday, they wanted to punish them, but they realized this is actually much stronger than us. We cannot do. this is, and then the whole thing to arrange so the Yamaraj can hear the holy name of Narayan. This is all arranged by Krishna. The Krishna arranges things in such a way that we always have to have faith that Krishna will arrange things in a spiritually positive way for us. Like sometimes we think, oh, there is no God, or where is Krishna now when I need him? Sometimes it's like this. Sometimes it's like a desperate situation. And then Krishna reveals, okay, I didn't do this because I actually wanted to protect you, for example. You know this story with the finger, when he had a son and cut his finger, and he said, well, this is all. They went to the Guru, and Guru said, this is all Krishna's arrangement. He said, what kind of Guru you are? You cut his finger, they have to explain why. And he said, no, it's God's arrangement. So then the army people came and they said, everybody goes to the army. And they took him and they said, oh, you cannot go because you have no finger. So they went to the Guru, and the Guru said, well, it's all Krishna's. How is this? He said, no, it's all Krishna's arrangement. So the point is, it is all Krishna's arrangement. Or Prabhupada would call it transcendental system. This is the one purport in the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 42nd verse. But Prabhupada says, this verse describes that those who are not successful in this life, the next life they become born in the family of transcendentalists. And then Prabhupada explains, what kind of family they'll be born, or a Vaishnava family. And he said, both myself and my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, were born in these kind of families. And he said, and both of us were trained in devotional service from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. So it's the order of the transcendental system. Transcendental system means, we call it in ISKCON, Krishna's arrangement. Everything is somehow arranged by Krishna. And we should have this faith that Krishna will not cheat me. Because we used to be cheated in the material world. We cheated constantly. How many times, of course we came from India. It was a special rasa. But here also, like I filled up something, I wanted to do something online, and I fill it up, and you fill a big questionnaire, everything. It's written free. And when I filled it up, on the end it said, oh, before you go, you have to pay. I was thinking, you said it's free, and I feel I wasted whatever minutes, It's cheating. It's cheated. I was thinking, I've been cheated. So we used to be cheated in the material world. We don't trust. We don't, nowadays, in many cases, people before they get married, they sign something which is called prenuptial agreement. And this prenup, you sign that if we divorce, you will not ask me for money, or you will not. So before they get married, they only sign a prenup. This is terrible, because it's not trust. Anything can happen. We used to be cheated in this material world. So therefore we have to. People are always afraid. You don't know. Like for example, I was traveling once. We did a Sankirtan, and I bought peanuts. That was the country. And I said, I don't know why, Paramatma. Just look at the ingredients. Who is looking at ingredients? Peanuts are peanuts. I looked at ingredients. Meat powder in peanuts. I said, Krishna saved us, And I was thinking, man, this is so much material world, so much cheating going on. So, therefore, we have to trust that Krishna will not cheat us. Krishna will never cheat us. Krishna is always our well-wisher. Krishna is our well-wisher. Krishna is actually always want good for us. And with this in mind, then we can see, okay, it's a transcendental system. Maybe at this time things are not favorable for me, but maybe it will be later. Or if it's not favorable, maybe Krishna has reason for this. As we said last time about Krishna's protecting his devotees. Nrsimhadev is protecting his devotees not only physically, but also mentally, and also he protects ultimately our devotional service. Maybe this will be very bad for us, to get this position of a temple president. We were hoping, we were praying to the Lord. Maybe we'll become puffed up, or maybe fall down, or maybe we'll misuse the money. If Krishna sees this and says, "Oh, maybe better not, maybe better don't." Whatever the arrangement. We want to marry a particular woman, and somehow Krishna doesn't arrange it, because maybe that would be terrible for us, and so on and so forth. So, transcendental system. There's a transcendental system. Vidura met Uddhava by the transcendental system. And therefore, the Bhagavatam is spoken. The snake, he put a snake around his neck. Therefore, Bhagavatam is spoken. If he didn't put a snake, he will not be cursed. And Bhagavatam will not be spoken. It's a transcendental system. So, just for last thing, I just want to say here from the Nectar Devotion, how one remembers Krishna. It is very nicely described here. In the neophyte stage, one should engage in Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha. So we should just hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasha, or the stage of hearing. So we just hear the holy name. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his form, qualities and pastimes, we go to the next stage called Varana Dasha. And this stage, Varana Dasha, one becomes attached to hearing. Attached to hear. You want to hear more. Sometimes when the lecture starts and the big good speaker, we are like, cannot wait. I wanted to hear what's going on, in the spiritual world. Been attached to Krishna Katha. We're attached to hear about Krishna book, Krishna, Balaram, or Gopis. We want to hear this more. So this is the next stage called Varana Dasha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smarana Vasta, the remembering of Krishna. So when we chant, it is described, when one chants in ecstasy, you always remember Krishna. You chant and, there was this story that they wanted to hear Arjuna, what is in his heart, and it was just Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. He was just repeating Krishna. So the devotees is constantly engaged in chanting. This is called Smarana Vasta, the stage of remembering, constantly remembering Krishna. Then recollection, absorption. So we recollect, we remember how it was absorption, we get absorbed in Krishna. Meditation, we meditate sometimes with Krishna. When we, for example, you prepare a lecture, it's meditation for me. You meditate, I meditate on this verse, and I say, how can this verse? And it's a constant meditation. For me, it's, even if nobody listens, for me it's good because I got absorbed in Krishna.
And after lecture too.
Yes, and after lecture. Yes, and then you go and you think like, wow. And you say something you don't even know where did it come from. And then you remember this. This was a nice point. Not that I said, but it's a nice point about Krishna. And then you remember this. Then, constant remembrance of Krishna. Constantly you remember Krishna. There's a verse by Madhavendra Puri who says, all my dear rules, regulations, the bath in the morning or whatever, Gayatri 3 times or whatever, this is all nice, but wherever I sit, I just think about youthful son of Nanda Maharaj. So whatever he does, wherever you sit, you cannot go away anymore from Krishna. Sometimes, we chant finish our 16 rounds and just, last 2 beats, Hare Krishna, drop it, done. I'm done, 16 rounds. Woo. But in this stage, we are constantly thinking of Krishna. You chant and you think like, oh, Hare Krishna, you put the beads and you chant Hare Krishna. So this is the constant remembrance. And the last is trance. Somebody is completely in trance. This is a very highest stage. It is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Lord Chaitanya himself, how he was in trance many times. He would go to ocean in Jagannath Puri and he would see ocean, he would think this is Yamuna, he would jump in there. And he would drown. And the fishermen found him with the fish, the net, caught him from the ocean. And he said, I thought I got a big fish. But actually it was Lord Chaitanya. And he brought him to the bank, to the sand. Lord Chaitanya was dead. Of course, he was in trance. So fisherman didn't know what to do. So he said, as soon as I touched him, he said, some current came to me and I became like a madman, started laughing, rolling on the ground. And he thought, this is a ghost, But actually he was infused with Krishna prema of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya would be in trance for some time. And we see also the devotees of Lord Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita described how they were many times. One devotee of Nityananda would jump into the river, Ganga, and he would stay for 2-3 days under the water, in complete trance. Do not try this in Rhine here, in river, not good. So, or whatever, he would slap tigers, the tiger would come, come here, playing with the real wild tiger. Because he was in trance, he didn't see this. So, this is trance, are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted in intervals. We remember Krishna, and somehow we forget Krishna. We think about, whatever music, band we're listening, or whatever. This wonderful film, or this beautiful actress, or she had a beautiful hair, whatever you think. Interrupted. Then, later, remembrance continues uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and it's called meditation. We constantly think of Krishna, meditate on Krishna. When meditation expands, then becomes constant and it's called anusmriti. Then it happens like this. We go to bed, we think of Krishna, we sleep but we think of Krishna, we get up, we think of Krishna, we shower, it's become like we just think of Krishna constantly. Then, by uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, meditation. When meditation expands, it becomes constant, it's called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing, means non-stop, anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi. So this is we see it's a very high stage, but it's actually, this is the path that every devotee ultimately has to go through. Samadhi. After Smarana Dasha or Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position, meaning you realize your own, as they call Svarup Siddhi, your own body, original body. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. This is called Sampati Dasha, or perfection of life. So this is the path from our remembrance how to the ultimate end. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Anything to like to add something?
Srila Swami Maharaj often mentioned 5 stages of smarana. The smarana, then dhyana, dharana, dhruvanusmriti and samadhi. Not similar. Okay? This interested dhruvanusmriti compare this currency of honey. Honey. You cannot interrupt.
Yes.
This, Yes. This is dhruvanusmriti. Before samadhi, always continuous manner. And I have one question. This might be very esoteric question.
We'll see. Maybe turn the camera off.
Like you mentioned, Yamadutas recognize powerful of Vishnudutas. This person is more powerful
Yes.
than we. And like you mentioned yesterday, lectures, they wanted even also punish.
To beat them.
Yeah. But in other texts, also there is this description. Yamaraj control all universe, even demigods, and not even demigods, even some demons also is very powerful. Have influence, shiny, sometimes some demons fighting with Krishna 28 days, not possible. So conquer. But how? What is signs of powerful of Vishnu? What saw Yamadutas?
What did I see?
How they recognize why this person is more powerful than us?
Yeah, it is esoteric, of course. What I was thinking when you were speaking, it's just like, for example, when two bears, they come, and and immediately one bear leaves. Why? He didn't kill him. He didn't cut his arm, because he feels the Shakti. Just like two bears. This is exactly what I was thinking. Whatever the monkeys. One monkey comes and the other monkeys just run away. Yeah, without fighting. Why? Because with men, and also with men also, you go to some guy and you realize, I'm not. Why? Maybe I'm even bigger, but you see, this guy's serious. You don't mess with this guy. There's something. I think this is exactly what it is. They thought, but then realized, they're actually much stronger. This is the only thing I can think of. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Uddhava ki jai, Shri Vidura ki jai. Is this from Nityananda?